Call 800-8949. Agree or disagree? Call 423-800-8949. 800-8949. Nooga Radio. AM 1240, 92.7 FM, and 95.3 HD4. News, talk, sports. Nooga Radio.
Hey, it's Nooga Radio, and it's the Cindy's Choice Show. I am Cindy. You're listening on AM 1240 and 92.7 FM. Again, Nooga Radio, as in Chattanooga. Nooga Radio. Cindy's Choice is to make a positive impact in our community. And you'll have to tune in to some of my other shows to understand more about that. But we're going to share a little bit about that today with my guest that's coming up very shortly. Cindy's Choice gathers businesses that complement each other and have the same target market. We provide them shared marketing management, allowing amazing cost savings with much added value. And we do that a lot with great sponsorship and great Cindy's Choice businesses like Chicken Salad Chick. Check out their catering menu. It's Chicken Salad Chick, Chattanooga.com. That's Chicken Salad Chick, Chattanooga.com. There's a downtown location with convenient curbside pickup. Just call ahead. You can pull up. They'll run it right out to you. There's the East Brainerd location on Gun Barrel over by Target. And very soon to be an Erlanger Mall location. We are so excited about that. I think it's a perfect match for a medical mall because we all know about having people bring us food when we're in the hospital. And what a great bonus to have Chicken Salad Chick when you're stuck in a hospital room. Again, Chicken Salad Chick, Chattanooga.com. And for my information, Cindy at cindyschoice.com. That's Cindy at cindyschoice.com. Or feel free to give me a call, 423-661-4445. 423-661-4445. And Cindy's Choice for an awesome business advisor is Nova Advisors. Nova Advisors is a contingency-based business service. They can bring a variety of strategies to reclaim or save business operational costs with no upfront fees. I want to repeat that. No upfront fees. And without requiring you to change vendors or make operational changes. And what a great lead into my next guest, who is Dennis Schroeder with Nova Advisors.
Well, good morning, Cindy. Thank you for having me here.
Oh, thank you, Dennis. As always, thank you for being here. Dennis has visited with us a couple times, but he's been on the David Tulis show because he has such a great service. We want to be sure that the community is aware of how Dennis can help you out through Nova Advisors. Again, like I said, it's a contingency-based business service. That means that you can utilize his services without any upfront fees. But first of all, I want to talk a minute. Well, Dennis, I like my listener to know a little bit more about who I'm talking to.
Sure.
So go ahead and tell us about your background and so forth like that.
Well, great. Well, my background primarily was as an officer in the United States Army. I came from a Navy family, and I got an ROTC scholarship through college back in the 70s. And that was really the only way I was ever going to be able to get to college. And I was a Medical Service Corps officer in the Army. I retired originally in the year 2000. For 11 years, I did a variety of things, some of which is pertinent to what we're going to be talking about. For 7 years, I ran a small property management and real estate office in the Pacific Northwest. And I was recalled to active duty back in 2011 for a couple of years. And following that, I stayed in the Tennessee area, and that's what brought me here. And Tennessee is my home, and I love it here. And so my background, having run a business and having had the opportunity to help other businesses be able to be aware of things that I wasn't aware of as a business owner. I was not a specialist in things. I knew what my business was focused on, but I wasn't an expert in things like the workers' comp charges or credit card processing fees, or whether the waste disposal fees that I was being charged were actually correct. I had no real way effectively to take advantage of some tax strategies that were there. I did know about them, but in terms of when I hired employees, it was just too cumbersome. So when the opportunity to provide these services to businesses came along for me, I said, this is for me. I really want to help business owners who are like myself to be able to be aware that these things exist and that they can be achieved with minimal time and effort on their part, and that basically my compensation comes by sharing some of that savings. Once we put money back into a business owner's pocket, we share in some of those savings, and all of that's disclosed up front. So a business owner who chats with me about this will know before we get started on the work exactly what that's going to mean for them.
Right, and that's exactly why you are a Cindy's Choice partner. But first, Dennis, I want to thank you for your service.
Oh, you're welcome. It was truly an honor to serve, and in fact, if the military would have let me, I would have probably stayed till I dropped dead. I just
Well, thank you. Your service greatly appreciated. I walked in the Heroes Run Walk this past Saturday as my small contribution to helping out, and I try to support veterans. It's a part of the vision for Cindy's Choice, and doing shared marketing for veterans so they can afford entrepreneurship or and just help and assist in any way that I can.
Absolutely.
But another thing I wanted to mention is another reason that Nova Advisors is Cindy's Choice is, like Cindy's Choice, you're devised from a desire to help.
Absolutely.
And that's where I come from. I'm a serial entrepreneur, and I share on here often that 40% of businesses make a profit, 30% break even, 30% lose money. And these, if you Google those statistics, it's not just in Forbes, they're pretty consistent statistics. And there's more statistics that say over 80%, I want to repeat, over 80% of businesses do not make it past 5 years. Well, I've always been the break-even girl. I can get a business going. That's nothing for me to get things started. People trust me. I'm very good at selling myself and winning their confidence and delivering. But when it came to that point of going to the next step and growing, duplicating myself, having the capital to afford an employee, that's where I kept getting stuck. So that's where I recognize how to help businesses. And that's what Cindy's Choice is doing, is grouping other like-minded businesses that can help you. And with the shared concept of Cindy's Choice, it is just incredible savings. Absolutely. And then you add that where when you can save with your marketing, for so many businesses, marketing is like a necessary evil. People hate spending money on marketing because it's not an instant return. Right. So that's the beauty of Cindy's Choice. It's a quicker return. And it's something that you can see and feel an example is like what we're doing right now. Anyone can have a website and talk about what a great service they are. Anyone can go and use social media. We're on Facebook right now. Hey, everybody. Anyone can advertise. Nooga Radio scrutinizes to a degree, but they're not offering a platform where they're saying, use these people. They're the best. They're just offering an advertising platform that you can pay for if you want to get your word out. And it's a great tool. It's awesome. I'm utilizing it.
Absolutely.
And anyone can be on a list, but not everyone can be a choice. When someone's willing to put their name at stake for you, for your name, that says something about that company. And that's what Cindy's Choice is establishing.
Absolutely. Do you mind if I share a little bit about why I became a sponsor of Cindy's Choice?
Yes, please.
Well, basically, when I met Cindy back in the spring, and we started talking about what each of us was doing, I found somebody who, in you, Cindy, who was passionate about what you did, who had a similar heart to the approach that we both wanted to be able to help people who had been in positions like we had been ourselves, who was somebody that I knew that by my sponsorship was able to speak for me when I wasn't able to be here myself. And I honestly think that any business who is looking to grow, who's looking to try to expand their reach, should seriously talk with Cindy about the possibility of becoming a Cindy's Choice. I can't think of a better way to utilize those marketing dollars than what you provide, Cindy.
Oh, awesome. Well, thank you so much, Dennis, because that's exactly what I'm trying to gather are like-minded people, and that's what I recognized in you. But Dennis and I still put the time in to cultivate the relationship because, again, I can't take a risk. If I'm going to be brave enough to say Cindy's Choice, it needs to be absolute preferred vendors. And Nova Advisors is a Cindy's Choice preferred vendor for sure. Now, let's jump right in, Dennis, because I want the listener to understand 15 minutes. Okay. That you can just spend 15 minutes on the phone with them and you can find out even to a degree of about how much money you can save them.
Absolutely. In fact, I did a walkthrough of one of the two basic tools that I use on David's show last week, I guess that was. And we basically have a conversation with the owner or decision maker within a business and ask some key questions about business metrics. If you own a building, how much you paid for it, how many employees you have, how many people you hire each year, what your revenue stream is, what your accounts payable are. And given that information, we have tools that are able to identify that amount of savings that we believe we can bring to you through a variety of strategies that we have available. And we have basically 4 categories of strategies, and I think we're going to talk about some of those today.
But let me ask you first, Dennis. Okay, so you've just spent 15 minutes on the phone with someone. You did your research. Are you telling them right there on the spot that you can help them? Or are you going back? Okay, no, so right there on the spot, you're like, oh my goodness, I can help you a lot. I can probably save you this much money. Okay, what is the very next step?
The very next step is then a contract we can have the business owner sign that gives us permission to bring the specialists involved to talk with either that business owner or their surrogate, whoever they need to, their CPA, their attorney, whoever it may be. And we go to work. We then are able to identify the things that we can do to put that money back into that owner's pocket.
And there's been no money exchanged at this point.
None. That contract.
Sorry, I got to throw a wow in there.
We only get paid, and that is part of the contract, and it's disclosed all up front exactly what the percentage is. It varies based upon the service that's provided. The business owner knows up front exactly what the cost share is going to be or savings share is going to be, and for what duration of time. Some of these strategies are things that you're going to realize year after year after year. Others are going to be one-time kinds of savings. And all of that's disclosed up front.
That's something I want to speak to. There are other businesses that do this.
Yes.
But your percentages want less.
Yes. So let's talk. We've talked before about the Workers' Opportunity Tax Credit, and that really is the one that I would say most every business can participate in, no matter how small you are. If you employ people, if you're going to be employing people, the Workers' Opportunity Tax Credit has been around in various forms for a very, very, very long time. But like most other government processes, it's always been very cumbersome to be able to take advantage of. In its current form, you really have to be able to ask the potential employee a bunch of questions, comfortable for that employee to answer. They have to write it all down. They have to give it back to you. You have to get it to your HR department if you have an HR department. It has to be submitted to the state for approval. If there are errors in any of this, it has to go back to the beginning. And all of that has to be done before you make a hiring decision. So like myself, when I was doing property management real estate, it was just too cumbersome to even try to do.
Yeah, let me interject something right there, because I have worked with busy business owners for a long time. I mean, that's how my career started. I was marketing for small businesses that didn't have a marketing budget. They could barely afford me. So I had to get real creative. But what I learned really quickly was understanding that personality and how many tons of different directions that they're pulled and how hard it is for them to stop and pay attention to details.
Right.
I myself, with an accounting degree, who was a office manager that took care of books and got into the details, you can't get me to slow down for that for nothing right now. I've got too many other priorities, and that's kind of important. So,
Yes.
so that's like what most business owners are dealing with.
Right.
So it's perfectly understandable that even though they're like, oh my goodness, this could be thousands of dollars to me, it's too hard to stop and pull away from other things that are quicker money.
Exactly.
In order to have that savings available to you.
Exactly. And there are other businesses out there that are provide the service to help businesses to do this. But as far as I know, they're all still paper-based. What we have to offer is, as far as I'm aware of, the only software-based solution. And so a busy business owner, somebody who maybe you're you have maybe just a handful of employees, maybe you're the only person in charge. You basically you're interviewing a potential employee. You get their email address, you send them an email, and they answer the questions online on their smartphone or on their home computer or whatever. And you tell them, you need to get this done today so that I can make a decision about whether we're hiring you or we're hiring somebody else. And then you, as the business owner, have an immediate answer about whether this person qualifies for the tax credit. Not everybody does, but I think the national averages were 30% of the entire workforce does. And oftentimes there are situations that you don't, as a potential employee, I may not even realize that I'm for one of these tax credits for my potential employer.
Exactly. And 30% is a lot.
It is.
That's almost 1 out of every 3 people.
Exactly.
That qualify. And again, what kind of savings can that mean per employee that qualifies?
It varies, but it ranges from about $800 to $9,600. The average nationally is just under $2,500. So let's say that, let's use that national average. And so if you have the choice, you have 2 or 3 candidates that you've interviewed. They're all relatively the same in terms of the quality of their qualifications, but one of them qualifies for the tax credit. Why wouldn't you choose them? I mean, that's the whole intent of the law, was to give business owners a reason to hire somebody in certain categories. People who, people who live in economic empowerment zones, people who were veterans, people who have had prior problems with the law, but have changed their ways and are now trying to make a new start. There's a much wider variety of those, but all of these are categories of people that the government has said we want to give employers a reason to hire people in these categories.
Right, and that's another thing. I love this. This saves the business owner money. It actually earns them money. Yet I focus a lot on helping in economically challenged neighborhoods, and I'm loving that there is some kind of incentive there to really focus on some of the people that really need jobs, that are stuck in situations. They may have transportation issues or something like that, but if they know they have a good job, it's funny how creative people can get to be sure how people will pull together and get them to work. And then it's a win-win for everyone. So I absolutely love that program.
And with that program too, when you were talking about our cost, the way that we get paid, we ask for 15%. We have a small monthly fee for the software. So if it's the smallest business out there, it's $19 a month. I mean, if you let's take a worst case scenario. You got somebody who's a solo entrepreneur. At some point in the future, they may hire an employee. If they hire one person in 10 years, that recoups more than the cost of that software.
Yeah.
So it really is
pretty safe investment.
It's
there.
Very safe investment. And we ask for 15% of the tax credit that you get, whereas our competitive companies out there ask for 25 to 50%, depending upon who you're talking to.
Wow. And that's just for the WOTC, and that's the Workers' Opportunity Tax Credit that Dennis can help you with, Dennis with Nova Advisors. Dennis, why don't you go ahead and share your information?
The way people can get to me is through my website, which is www.novaadvisors, NOVAADVISORS.US, all at 888-551-6530. That's 888-551-6530.
Awesome. I want to be sure that got in there. We still got a couple minutes left here. And I'm loving that we spent time on the WOTC program. I really wanted people to get a good understanding about that. Sure. But let's just hit briefly on the auditing, because this is something I personally relate to. I've seen this in a lot of businesses. I've actually talked to merchant service companies that are very much aware of how much people are losing in fees on their monthly merchant services bill.
Absolutely.
So why don't you hit on the auditing services? You've got like 2 minutes.
Sure. Okay. Well, auditing services, we look at 4 different areas that we can audit, because we know that there are errors in most businesses in these areas. Mm-hmm. So number 1, we take a look at workers' comp charges. If you have employees, you're going to be paying workers' comp. When I was an employer, I didn't know whether those charges were accurate or not. I just assumed that they were, but not always. Credit card processing fees, the codes on those, you really do need to have
crazy codes,
supreme expertise in this to even know what those mean, and even more so to know whether they are truly appropriate or applicable to you. And lots of folks are getting overcharged in that area. We take a look at waste disposal. Waste disposal charges also have lots of different codes and fees to them, especially when you're talking about businesses. And we know that we can find savings in that area for most. Small parcel shipping is another area of auditing that we look at. So if you are a business that does a lot of small parcel shipping using FedEx or UPS, we're going to take a look at your history of billing. And typically we find over 60% of businesses that do a large volume of that they're paying a lot more. Our typical savings range in that area is 20 to 25% of your annual shipping charges.
So you're saying 60% of businesses could possibly save 25%.
Those that do a lot of small parcel shipping. So not everybody,
wow.
every
right.
business is going to do that. But if you're in the business, you have your customers are all over the place, and you're putting things in small boxes to ship off to people in Kansas, Nebraska, whatever.
Awesome.
That we know that there are savings available to you.
We could just go on and on and on. And I'll be having you back on a regular basis to share more about these contingency-based services that Nova Advisors can offer. Again, check Nova Advisors out at novaadvisors.us. That's novaadvisors.us. Stay with us. We'll be back.
The Tennessee Valley's news, talk, and sports leader, Nooga Radio.